White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany ripped the media over its failure to practice actual journalism. The reaction from the left has been so predictable. Can you name the Fox News host who wasn't happy with her statements? Plus, Joe Biden adds to his growing list of eye-opening yet revealing gaffes. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day, and I hope you had a great weekend. If you missed Saturday's live stream with Dinesh D'Souza, it was awesome. Just check it out right there. There's the link. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great questions, a lot of support from all of you, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate Dinesh for taking the time to be with us. All right, so let's jump in the news. We're going to start with the new White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, because she started fireworks that have lasted through the whole weekend because she dared to ask the media questions. All right, her job is supposed to be answering questions, but she posed 5 questions to the media at her last press conference because they don't do their job. And they went absolutely nuts about it. I mean, she is taking heat every time she steps to the podium. And it's not like the media have a double standard. It's that they have no standards and only one direction, one goal, and that is to advance an agenda from the left and bring down President Trump. Anything that doesn't fit in that narrative is ignored. Anything that does, they try and push, and that's all they do. So she's fighting back. She has this position to be able to fight back, so she did it. And this last press conference was just a classic example. First of all, the media is pounding her on President Trump's efforts to reopen churches and other places of worship. How can you do that? That's so bad. It's so dangerous. On and on. Then she got questions on Michael Flynn, one of them asking if President Trump was ready to pardon Barack Obama. There hasn't even been a full investigation yet. And here's that question.
I'd like to ask you if the president has considered pardoning President Obama for illegally wiretapping on Trump Towers, illegally spying on U.S. citizens, and other potential crimes out there. Has he considered that?
So McEnany said she hadn't talked to the president about that, but she has talked to him about other questions that she posed to the media, and she was wondering if they followed up on it.
And I laid out a series of questions that any good journalist would want to answer about why people were unmasked and all sorts of questions. And I just wanted to follow up with you guys on that. Did anyone take it upon themselves to pose any questions about Michael Flynn and unmasking the President Obama spokesperson? Oh, not a single journalist has posed that question. Okay.
So what she's saying is reporters aren't asking the right questions. They're not asking any questions of this blatantly illegal, corrupt activity. Spying on American citizens, spying on a political opponent from the opposition party. That's what they did. It's illegal. It's wrong. It's corrupt. And yet they're not asking questions. So then this is what she did that really struck a nerve. She posed 5 questions, even putting them on like a PowerPoint in the White House press briefing for all to see. 5 questions for the media to consider asking in the future.
Why did the Obama administration use opposition research funded by a political organization and filled with foreign dirt to surveil members of the Trump campaign?
All right, so question number 1 goes to the heart of the whole Mueller investigation, the whole narrative of Russia collusion, and that is that the surveillance was based on an opposition research document, not some breaking intelligence report, but Oppo research funded by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Why are questions being asked about that? Then there's more from McEnany.
Number 2, why was Lieutenant General Michael Flynn unmasked? Not by the intel community entirely, but by Obama's chief of staff, by the former Vice President Joe Biden, by Susan Rice, by the Treasury Secretary. I mean, this is extraordinary. And
all right, so the media always try and downplay this unmasking. They always try and do it, yet serious questions emerge. It's one thing to unmask someone within the intelligence community if you're surveilling some foreign diplomat and you need to know what Americans were involved. That is different than this political operation to take down the Trump campaign. And here's more from McEnany.
Why was Flynn's identity leaked? In a criminal act. It is a criminal act to leak the identity of Michael Flynn to the press, but it happened. Where are the questions to Obama's spokesperson? Because my team would be running around this building should this have happened under the Trump administration.
Well, that one's pretty straightforward, and it just shows that when it's the Barack Obama administration or Barack Obama himself, the press just turned a blind eye. They are not doing basic investigative reporting.
Why did the DOJ, Sally Yates, learn about the unmasking from President Obama? So much for going by the book. As Susan Rice said 3 times, thou doth protest too much, Susan Rice. And then finally, question number 5. Why did James Clapper, John Brennan, Samantha Power, and Susan Rice privately admit under oath they had no evidence of collusion while saying the opposite publicly?
So that's just awesome. You've got Obama administration officials testifying under oath that there was no collusion, yet they go out in public and say the exact opposite. And the media doesn't find that odd? They don't think that's it worth investigating or worth asking a few questions? Nope. And McEnany called him out on it. She said, it's a long weekend. Hopefully he'll come back and maybe have talked to some administration officials on the Obama side and gotten some answers. So next, we're going to talk about the reaction to it. But first, I want to talk to you about my friends over at World Fair. Imagine taking a photograph of your home and turning it into a handmade work of art. That's exactly what they do. In my home, I have custom drawings of every home I've ever lived in, and the collection always gets noticed, and people ask about it. When they see it, they always ask about it. So whether it's your current house, a childhood residence, or maybe some iconic building from your alma mater, just send in the photograph and they will turn it into a handmade custom keepsake. Just go to the link in the description, use coupon code BOBBY13 for 10% off your purchase. All right, folks, we're going to talk about now the reaction to Kayleigh McEnany's statements. And I want to focus in on Fox News Sunday because I'm going to put this chart up, this picture up, and just here was the panel discussion. Just take a look at these folks. All right, so you've got Chris Wallace, give me a break. Then you have Josh Holmes. He was the former chief of staff for Senator Mitch McConnell. Okay. Then you've got Donna Brazile, a Democrat. And then you've got Jonah Goldberg, a never-Trumper. That's their panel. That's who they had discussing Kayleigh McEnany's statements and her assignment of the 5 questions for the reporters. Here's how Chris Wallace started.
Then McEnany, who has been in the White House for a few weeks, started lecturing reporters, telling reporters who have been covering politics for many years what questions they should be asking, in this case about Michael Flynn.
Oh my gosh, McEnany had the nerve to lecture reporters. Then Wallace said, he added this one thing about, back in the day with him and Sam Donaldson, if they would have been lectured like this, things would not have gone well. Give me a break. Then Jonah Goldberg jumps in.
I think her behavior is indefensible and grotesque.
Indefensible and grotesque? Seriously? And then he goes on.
What Donald Trump wants in a press secretary is a Twitter troll who goes on attack, doesn't actually care about doing the job they have, and instead wants to impress an audience of one.
A Twitter troll who wants to impress the president. That's Goldberg's key analysis. He's brought on the program. That's his key advice. Nothing about how low the media have sunk. Nothing about how the corruption needs to be investigated. Just that Kayleigh McEnany is a Twitter troll. So then we go back to Chris Wallace, and he says, in the time remaining, this last little bit, he's going to go to Josh Holmes. He first bashes McEnany, then finally goes to Holmes, who disagrees with Wallace.
The confrontational nature by which journalists approach the questioning is not really to obtain much information so much as to try to back them into the corner. And I think Kayleigh said, I'm not going to play that game. And so, yeah, it is completely different than what we've seen from years and years of briefings from press secretaries. But I think it's reflective of the nature that we find ourselves in.
Before wrapping up, Chris Wallace took one more shot at McEnany, hearkening back again to the day with him and Sam Donaldson, saying this wouldn't have gone over well. That press secretary wouldn't have lectured us, and we wouldn't have stood for it, basically. It was just kind of nuts. So I want to know where you stand. Is McEnany right, or is Chris Wallace right? Should she just answer the questions, or was she doing the right thing, stepping up and posing questions to the media? Let me know in the comments, because I'm really interested to see this. It is, like Josh Holmes said, kind of a new age. You don't see this from press secretaries, but is this the situation we find ourselves in now? So next, I want to talk about Joe Biden, because he's at it again. And if you love the way the show's going, if you love like our Saturday live stream, please subscribe and please hit that bell. We're making our push for 100K by Election Day, and we can do it with your help. All right, so now we're going to talk about Joe Biden, because no sooner did I wrap up the Friday show than he was at it again. He was on a program speaking to the African American community, and he came out and he said that if you are thinking about voting for Trump, then you ain't black. Okay, so this caused an uproar. Now, some of the media reported, CNN basically just ignored it. Others went at it very lightly. The major backlash was on social media, and that was enough to actually have Biden issue an apology. And here's what he said. No one should have to vote for any party based on their race or religion or background, Mr. Biden said. I know that the comments have come on like I was taking the African American vote for granted, but nothing could be further from the truth, he said. I have never done that, and I have earned it every time I've run. I was making the point that I have never taken a vote for granted. Well, that's not the point he was making. He was actually making the opposite point, that he does take their vote for granted, and somehow if you vote conservative or vote for Trump, then you're not black. It's part of your DNA that you have to vote Democrat. And that sentiment was continued. After Biden made that statement, you've got New York Times reporter Nicole Hannah-Jones. She gets on Twitter and she tweets this. There is a difference between being politically black and being racially black. I'm not defending anyone, but we all know this and should stop pretending that we don't. So, of course, someone after that tweeted, I don't know what you mean. And she replied that if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Which is one of the, oh my gosh, that statement bugs me so much, because people want to be educated. If they go ask a person, hey, I don't understand what you meant, can you explain it? And then you get that, well, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. It's so arrogant. It's so elitist. I just can't stand it. Yet that's what she did. She later deleted the tweet because she was getting so much backlash from it. But what she stated is exactly what Biden was saying too, is that the African American community is expected to think a certain way, vote a certain way, act a certain way. And if they don't, then they are not considered black. I mean, if you vote for President Trump, if you are conservative, you are somehow a sellout. That's what they're saying. And Biden just said what all the Democrats think. He just happened to say it out loud. So next we're going to talk about, get some coronavirus updates. Two quick updates over here. And the first one has to deal with Texas. All right. So over the weekend, Texas Governor Greg Abbott tweeted this. Texas is opening safe, smart, and strong. So Robert Francis O'Rourke, Beto, he came back. I guess he wants to be relevant. He put up a tweet and he wrote, dangerous, dumb, and weak. What a lame comment is that? Dangerous, dumb, and weak? He's speaking to all of Texas there. People want to get out. There are millions of people unemployed. We need to get back to work and do it safely. I mean, you go to a restaurant, there are tables closed. People are spread out. You go to the store, checkout lines are marked 6 feet apart at the checkout. It's there. The practices are there for safely operating the economy. And he calls it dangerous, dumb, and weak. So Senator Ted Cruz came back and he tweeted, is this the new Democrat slogan? It's brief, but I like it because it's accurate. Then Representative Dan Crenshaw jumped in on Beto and he tweeted this. What a condescending reaction. The guy who wanted to be Texas' senator truly believes Texans can't make decisions for themselves and that they are dumb and weak for living their lives and trying to feed their families. Also, on Friday, President Trump announced guidelines to reopen churches, labeling churches and other places of worship as essential services, which was great news, but some of these blue state governors are not listening to it. And that brings us to the case in California, because Governor Gavin Newsom continues to have churches shut down. There was a case that was taken to the liberal Ninth Circuit, and they sided with Newsom. An appeals court has upheld California Governor Gavin Newsom's ban on in-person church services amid the coronavirus pandemic, in a split ruling that found that government's emergency powers override what in normal times would be fundamental constitutional rights. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled Friday that the South Bay United Pentecostal Church in San Diego cannot reopen immediately, the Los Angeles Times reported. In this case, constitutional standards that would normally govern our review of a free exercise claim should not be applied, the two judges in the majority wrote in their order. This is scary stuff, folks, and the comments that came after that ruling are even scarier. We're dealing here with a highly contagious and often fatal disease for which there is presently no known cure. In the words of Justice Robert Jackson, if a court does not temper its doctrinaire logic with a little practical wisdom, it will convert the constitutional Bill of Rights into a suicide pact, they wrote. Wow. First of all, it's not often fatal. That's flat out wrong. You have very, very, very little chance of dying from coronavirus. In fact, most people who get it, remember, have little to no symptoms. So they're flat out wrong on the science and the data. But then the other part is even scarier. What they're implying is that the court knows best. It knows best how you should exercise your own freedom, that you can't choose from yourself, even though that's how our whole country was founded. These elitists, should do the thinking, choosing, deciding for you. That's what they're saying there, and that is something that we need to fight against. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-Minute News Hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.